Hello students, how are you? So we are discussing the chapter improvement in food resources, and in the last video we were discussing about the crop improvement programming. Okay, so why do we need to perform a crop variety improvement? We discussed the following points, that was increasing the yield of the crops. Second, improving the quality of the crop, because different crops may have different qualities. For example, pulses have high protein quality, oilseeds have high oil quality, fruits and vegetables have high preserving quality. Improving crop resistance to biotic and abiotic stresses. Now, biotic stresses refer to the diseases, insects and nematodes, which while abiotic stresses are referred to floods, drought, heat and cold weather conditions. To shorten the maturity period of crops, this will allow farmers to grow a variety of crops in a year. It will also lead to an increase in the yield of the crop, as it reduces the chance of losses during the harvesting and simplifies the harvesting period. Achieving the required agronomic characteristics of crops such as high weight, lodging, resistance and high yield, and in this way they would consume the right nutrients and would produce a higher yield. Okay, and then we discussed about the crop production management, that is different farmers can have a small or large farms on which they use different farming practices. The choice of farming practices, it depends upon the availability of the financial resources, money. So it can be of three different types, that is no cost production, low cost production and the high cost production. Clear? So the topic that we are going to start today is nutrition management. 16 essential nutrients that plants need. So some important nutrients that are required by the plants are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, boron, chlorine, copper, iron, manganese, molybdenum, zinc. So these are the important nutrients that are required by the plant. Now these are called the essential nutrients, but these are also of two types: the nutrients which are required in large quantities and some are required in less quantities. The nutrients that are required in large quantities are called macronutrients, whereas the nutrients that are required in small quantities by the plants are called micronutrients. Okay, so it is basically on the basis of quantity. If in the less amount, then it is micronutrient, and if it is required in the large quantity, then it is macronutrient. You can also understand as the name suggests, macro and micro. So these are some essential nutrients like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and out of these only there are certain micronutrients and some are macronutrients. Clear? Remember, this definition is very important about macronutrients and the micronutrients. Now, what are the source of these nutrients? See, mainly carbon and oxygen. The main source is air. In air, oxygen, it is the form of oxygen gas, whereas carbon, it is in the form of carbon dioxide. Okay, so nutrients that are carbon and oxygen, they are received from air. Water, the hydrogen and oxygen nutrients are received from or provided by water. Okay, because water is what? H2O. So the oxygen component and the hydrogen component both can be derived from water also. Now, the most important source, that is soil. Soil contains both kinds of nutrients, that are macronutrients as well as micronutrients. What are macronutrients? Macro are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium and sulfur. Okay, so these are the nutrients which are required by the plants in large quantities. Whereas on the other hand, the micronutrients are iron, manganese, boron, zinc, copper, molybdenum, chlorine. And these are the micronutrients which are available in the form of, or which are required in the less quantities. Okay. Now you need to remember these names because nowadays MCQ questions are coming, and MCQ can be asked which of these is not a macronutrients. So three names will be given from, or three will be given from macronutrients and one will be given from micronutrients. Okay, so you need to remember that. Or different types of question can be from which of these is a macronutrients, which of these is a micronutrients. Okay, which of these is not a macronutrients, which of these is not a micronutrients, in this way. So you need to remember these names: that nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium and sulfur. These are the macronutrients, means required in the large quantities. Now what happens if the plant lack in these nutrients? It is very easy to understand that if they lack these nutrients, then the yield may be affected as the plants won't be able to reproduce. Second, the plant growth can be affected as the plants can get diseases easily. So this may be the effect of the lack of nutrients in the plants. Now, the most important question that arises in the improvement of food resources is how can we increase the yield by providing all the nutrients to the plants? See, whether it is macronutrients or the micronutrients, it's just depend on the quantity, but they all are required for the plant for better growth. Okay, it is not that if iron is a micronutrient, so it is not required. Okay, it is required, but in small quantities, but it is very important. And so is manganese, so is boron, and so is zinc. Clear? So it does not depend whether a element is a macro or it is a micronutrient. It is required by the plant and it is very essential in different activities that is plant performing. Clear? So the question arises, how can we increase the yield by providing all the nutrients to the plants? First one is using manure. As you know, manure is prepared by using animal excreta and plant waste. Now the functions, or you can say the features of manure. Manure mainly contains organic matter which increases the fertility of the soil. It also contains nutrients in a small quantity which are then supplied to soil on adding manure. The soil structure also enhanced is due to manure. It tends to hold more amount of water. Very important function this of manure, that it tends to hold more amount of water. The organic matter avoids water lodging and drainage in clayey soil. Manure is purely organic and hence using more manure is completely healthy for the plant as well as the environment. And using manure is a way to recycle farm waste. Clear? So these are the important functions or the features of manure. They are very important. Again, what are these? The manure mainly contains organic matter which increases the fertility of the soil. Okay, it is rich in organic matter. You know, manure, it is synthesized in the cow dung, etc., and with the help of earthworm it converts into the manure. It contains nutrients in small quantity which are then supplied to the soil on adding manure. The manure is added into the soil and from there the plants uptake that nutrient. The soil structure also enhanced due to manure. Why? Because it tends to hold more amount of water. Okay. Because the nature of manure is such that it tends to hold more amount of water, so definitely the soil structure is also enhanced. It means the property or the type of crops that is grown can also be varied. The organic matter avoids water logging and drainage in clayey soil. Now avoid water logging means the standing of the water, that the water does not go inside the soil, that is the water logging condition. Okay, and the proper drainage should also be there because roots also require oxygen. Okay, so it is not such that the water is filled in the soil and it is not having a proper drainage property. If it will be not be having a proper drainage property, then the plant will not be able to get that oxygen properly. Okay, and manure is purely organic and hence using more manure is completely healthy. On the other hand, if we talk about fertilizers, then it is not healthy to use more fertilizers. Okay, so it is purely organic and using more manure is completely healthy for the plant as well as the environment. Using manure is a way to recycle farm waste. Next is, what is composting? The process of recycling farm waste material by decomposing is called composting. The product form on decomposition is called compost. The compost has a high variety of nutrients and organic matter, and the material used in the preparation of compost is animal excreta, sewage waste, vegetable waste, and the weeds. Clear? So what is compost? Composting, the process of recycling farm waste material by decomposing. And what is the product form on decomposing? It is the compost. What are the material used in the preparation? The material used in the preparation of compost is animal excreta, sewage waste, vegetable waste, and the weeds. Now this diagram shows what are compostables: food scraps, soiled paper, plants, yard waste, etc. Okay, bread, grains, cereals, etc., fruit and vegetable waste, meals, poultry, seafoods, eggs. Okay, leftover kitchen scraps including coffee grounds, filters, etc. One kitchen pail is full, it is empty into the large green composting bin. Okay, so these all, they help in the compost preparation. Clear, students? So this was one of the method to increase the yield of the plant, that is by using the manure. In the next video, what we'll be discussing, we'll be discussing the classification of the manure, and then another important method that is used to increase the yield of the plant, that is using fertilizers. Okay, we'll be discussing how by using the fertilizers we can increase the yield. Secondly, we'll be also discussing the precautions that are necessary, that are needed to be take care when we use the fertilizers. Okay, so that this one will be discussing in the next video, that is the classification of the manure and the using of fertilizers to increase the yield. Clear? Till then, students, take care of yourselves, keep studying, and watch this video again. Make the proper notes of the videos that have been uploaded on the channel. Okay, and keep studying. Thank you and have a nice day.